The purple sky of HFY seemed to go on forever above them, and both suns hung low on the horizon like watchful eyes. Tyler Mitchell wiped the sweat off his forehead and looked at his scanner for the 100th time that hour. The readings were normal, but he had a gut feeling that something was wrong. "Calm down, Ty," his wife Rachel said as she moved the translator on her collar. "We've been getting ready for this meeting for 2 years. Things are going as planned." Tyler wanted to trust her. Rachel was the mission's lead xenobiologist, the person everyone looked to for help. But nothing felt safe here on this strange world, surrounded by crystal structures that hummed with frequencies he could feel in his teeth. The Valkyrie group waited patiently in front of them. Vexare, their ambassador, was almost 8 feet tall, had 4 arms and skin that changed color like oil on water. Since the human ships arrived 3 days ago, the aliens have been nothing but friendly. They had shared food, talked about their cultures, and seemed really excited about teaming up with Earth. But then Vexare asked them to come to the bonding grounds. And that's when Tyler's gut started to scream. The creature slowly came out of the stables, and Tyler felt like he was going to throw up his breakfast. It was huge, at least 15 feet tall at the shoulder, and its body looked like it was made of living crystal. 8 legs, each as thick as a tree trunk, moved with surprising grace. The scales of the thing caught the light and threw it back in rainbow patterns that hurt to look at. But the horn was the worst part. A single spiraling horn stuck out from its forehead. It was longer than Tyler's whole body and sharp enough to stab a man like a kebab. The Valkyrie called it a thought render. Tyler said it was a nightmare. "Is that the one?" Rachel asked, her voice full of curiosity instead of fear. Tyler wanted to grab her and pull her back to the ship. "Yes, Dr. Mitchell," Vexare said, and his translator turned his clicking speech into smooth English. "This is one of our most holy creatures. We brought you here because we think your kind might have a special talent. But I have to warn you that the thought render reacts to feelings. They are very upset by fear especially." Tyler's heart was already racing. The creature's head turned toward them, and he could swear it was looking right at him. It had eyes that were too smart and too aware. It wasn't like looking at a horse or even an elephant. This was a whole different thing. Rachel said, "I'd like to approach it." Everyone in the diplomatic group turned to look at her. Captain Rodriguez, who was in charge of security, stepped forward right away. "Dr. Mitchell, that's not part of the plan. First, we need to look at the risk and run some scans." "The thought render won't wait for scans," Vexare said softly. "It has already made a choice. Look." The creature was now looking at Rachel, and its horn was starting to glow with a soft blue light. Tyler couldn't put his finger on what was in the air around them, but it felt thicker. "Rachel, no," Tyler said, pulling her arm. "We don't know what that thing can do. Let's wait and get more information. Please." Those brown eyes that had made him fall in love with her 10 years ago looked at him. "Ty, this is why we came here. This is what I've been working toward my whole career. First contact isn't just about talking. Trust is what it's all about." "Being stupid doesn't mean you trust," he shot back. "That thing could kill you in a second." Rachel agreed, "It could," and pulled her arm away from his. "But it won't. I can sense it. I know you think I'm crazy, but I can tell that it's not angry." No one could stop her from walking toward the thought render. Tyler reached for his gun, which was part of his training. He heard the other security guards doing the same thing behind him. Captain Rodriguez was yelling something about going back to defensive positions. Rachel, on the other hand, just kept walking. Steady. Stay calm. Like she was going up to a puppy instead of a scary alien monster that could rip her apart. The thought render changed its weight. The ground shook as all 8 legs moved at the same time. Tyler's finger found the plasma pistol's trigger. If that thing made one wrong move, he'd fire no matter what the orders said. "Stop it, Dr. Mitchell." Vexare's voice was no longer calm. "Your husband's fear. The creature can tell he's angry. You have to." Rachel took out her earpiece and dropped it on the floor. She could no longer hear their warnings. She couldn't hear Tyler begging her to return. She just walked up with her hand out like she was saying hello to an old friend. The thought render stood up on its back legs. Tyler's whole life came down to that one moment. The creature stood so tall that it blocked out one of the suns. The light hit its horn and it shone like a sword. Tyler's muscles screamed at him to shoot, to do something, to save his wife. "Rachel." He could hear his voice breaking as she got closer. The front legs of the creature came down. Tyler was already pulling the trigger and running. But Captain Rodriguez hit him from the side, making his shot go wide. They fell to the ground hard, and Tyler fought like a wild animal to get free and get to Rachel before that monster killed her. "Please let me go," he yelled. "Rachel." But then everything stopped. Tyler stopped fighting. Everyone stopped. because Rachel didn't scream. The Thoughtrender's horn was lowering and moving toward her open hand with impossible gentleness. "Please," Tyler whispered, but he wasn't sure if he was praying or begging. The horn brushed against Rachel's hand. There was no movement for one heartbeat. Tyler had to close his eyes because the world exploded into light that was so bright. He felt a wave of heat wash over him, heard a sound like singing crystals, and smelled ozone and something sweet that he couldn't place. Rachel was on the ground when he opened his eyes again. The Thoughrender stood over her, completely still, and its horn glowed the same soft blue as before. But Rachel didn't move. She lay there in the alien dirt while Tyler's heart broke into a million pieces. Tyler broke free from Captain Rodriguez's hold and ran to his wife. His boots kicked up purple dust as he ran, and his heart beat so fast he thought it might burst. Rachel lay still on the clear ground, and every second felt like an eternity. "Rachel. Please, baby." He fell to his knees next to her and tried to feel her pulse. He could hardly feel anything because his hands were shaking so much. "Get a medic. Now." The Thoughrender didn't move. It just stood there like a statue made of living gemstone looking down on them both. The creature's horn had stopped glowing, but Tyler could still feel heat coming from it. He wanted to shoot it and make it pay for what it had done to his wife, but all he could think about was Rachel's face. She had her eyes closed. Her skin was light. But Tyler could feel it, a steady beat under his fingers. She was still alive. "Thank God," he said as he pulled her close. "Thank God, thank God, thank God." Vexare walked slowly toward them. His forearms spread wide in what Tyler had learned was a sign of peace among the Valkyrie. "Mr. Mitchell, please let our healers look at her. What has happened has never happened before. We have to leave her alone." Tyler growled and held Rachel tighter. "Your thing did this." Tyler said, "Whatever this is, it's your fault." The voice was soft, almost a whisper, but it made Tyler's whole body stop. That's when he saw it. Rachel's eyes fluttered open. Her eyes were shining. It wasn't reflecting light, it was glowing from the inside, just like the Thoughtrender's horn. "Rachel?" Tyler's voice broke. What happened to your eyes?" She blinked slowly as if she were trying to remember how to do it. "I can see everything, Ty. All of it. There are colors in the light that I didn't know existed. I can hear your heartbeat from here. And the ideas." Her hand flew to her head as she gasped. "Oh God, I have so many thoughts." The medical team got there with their emergency kit, and the scanners were already running. Dr. Patel, the mission's chief medical officer, knelt down next to them and started running tests. His scanner beeped quickly, and Tyler saw his face go from worried to confused to something like awe. Patel said, "Her brain activity is through the roof. I've never seen patterns like these before. Her brain seems to be working 10 times harder than usual. These energy readings are like the Thoughtrender's biosignature. Rachel, can you hear me? Do you know where you are?" Rachel said, "I'm on HFY," and her voice sounded different in some way. More echoey. "I'm in the bonding grounds. And I'm linked to Whisper." "Whisper?" Tyler wanted to know. Rachel's bright eyes turned to the Thoughrender. "That's what it's called. I can feel it now." "Not it, really?" Whisper is a woman and is 347 years old. She is alone. She has been waiting for someone who could understand her for so long. Rachel's tears started to fall, and as they did, they glowed a faint blue. She thought she'd die without ever making a connection. The translator couldn't quite figure out what Vexare was saying. The alien skin had turned completely white, with no color left. "Not possible," he whispered. "In 4 generations of my people, no one has been able to make the bond." The Thoughrenders turned down all of the candidates. And now a person on her first try. "What does that mean?" Tyler asked. "What's wrong with my wife?" The Valkyrie ambassador looked at him in a way that might have been pity. "Your wife has made a connection with a Thoughrender. It is the highest honor in our culture, a bond so strong that the two minds become one. The bonded can tell the difference between truth and lies, feel emotions over long distances, and share ideas without talking." Tyler said, "Okay," slowly. "So this is a good thing? Is she going to be okay?" Vexare's silence lasted too long. Tyler felt a cold fear creeping up his back. "Tell me," Tyler said. "Just tell me what it is." "The bonded never live," Vexare finally said. "The human mind wasn't made to hold the weight of another mind. 17 Valkyrie have made the bond in our history. In 6 of your Earth months, all 17 died. The longest lived for just over 8 months. Their minds just couldn't take it anymore." Tyler felt like someone had hit him in the stomach. "No. No, you have to be able to do something. Something, medicine, surgery, or something else. We've tried everything for thousands of years, Vexare said softly. There is no way to fix it. I'm very sorry. Rachel slowly sat up, and Tyler saw that Whisper moved at the same time, perfectly copying her movement. Rachel said, I'm not scared. Ty, you need to feel what I'm feeling right now. It's lovely. I can feel the life force of every plant in this valley. I can sense how everyone here feels. Your fear, Captain Rodriguez's rage, and Dr. Patel's interest. And the happiness of Whisper. For the first time in 100 years she isn't alone. I don't care about any of that. Tyler yelled. You're going to die. They just told us you're dying and now you're talking about how great everything is? Rachel's fingers shook as she reached up and touched his face. I know you're afraid. I can feel it like it's my own fear. But Ty, I'm not scared. I should be, but I'm not. It's worth it to make this connection. It's not worth your life. Tyler took her hand and put it against his cheek. Nothing is worth losing you. We're going back to Earth. We'll find a way to end this link. The doctors we have are the best in the galaxy. They'll come up with something. Tyler Mitchell, Rachel said, and her voice sounded like it was coming from two different places, like Whisper was talking through her. I love you. Since the day we met at that coffee shop near the university, I have loved you. I will love you until the day I die. But I won't run away from this. No, I can't. Do you get it? This is bigger than us. You wanted to fight. He wanted to pick her up and throw her over his shoulder, carry her back to the ship, and jump to light speed so he wouldn't have to look back at this cursed planet. But when he looked into her bright eyes, he saw something he had never seen before. Go. Without a doubt. 6 months, he said in a hoarse voice. We have 6 months? Maybe less, Vexare said. Maybe more. Every bond is unique. Tyler pulled Rachel close and put his face in her hair. She still smelled like home, vanilla, and chemicals from the lab. He could feel her arms around him and her heart beating against his chest. Still a person. He still loves Rachel. But when he turned around he saw Whisper watching them with eyes that were too smart. And he began to feel more and more scared as he realized that part of Rachel was already gone, lost to something he could never reach or understand. Rachel whispered, I'm right here, and she could tell how he felt. I'm still me, Ty. I am still your wife. For now, he said with anger. She didn't say anything. She didn't need to. They both knew what was true. The countdown had already started, and nothing in the universe could stop it. It had been 3 weeks since the bonding, and Tyler hardly recognized his wife. Rachel spent most of her time in the stables with Whisper, sitting against the creature's huge, crystal body for hours without saying a word. When she came back to their room she moved in a different way. Her gestures somehow matched how Whisper moved and breathed, even though they were miles apart. Tyler was standing in the doorway of their small living space and watching her. She stood by the window and looked out at Threshvie's double sunset. He could see the blue glow of her eyes in the glass. Rachel said without turning around, You're staring again. How did you find out? You can't even see me. I can sense you. Your worry is like a heavy weight on my chest. Tyler had to fight the urge to look away when she finally turned to face him. Over the past few weeks, the light in her eyes had grown stronger and brighter. You're thinking about bringing me home. You have been looking for specialists who might know about neural bonding at hospitals on Earth. Tyler's jaw tightened. Don't get in my head, Rachel. I'm not in your head. I just know you. The same way I always have. She walked across the room and took his hands. Her touch was warmer than it used to be, as if she had a low fever all the time. And I know you're going to drug me and drag me onto the ship if I don't agree to leave on my own. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. Captain Rodriguez hasn't looked me in the eye in 3 days. Dr. Patel keeps an eye on the sedatives. And you've been extra nice, like you're trying to make up with me before you do something I know I'll hate. Rachel held his hands tightly. I'm not going. Not yet. You're going to die. The words flew out of him. I see you slipping away more and more every day. You hardly eat. You don't get any sleep. Half the time I talk to you, I'm not sure if it's you or that thing in your head that's talking back. Whisper is not a word. And she's not in my mind. We live in the same place now. It's hard to put into words. Then help me get it. Tyler got his hands free and walked around the tiny room. From where I'm standing, I'm losing you piece by piece and you won't even try to stop it. You won't even try. Rachel was quiet for a long time. Her voice was sad when she spoke again. Do you want to know what it's like? Every feeling within 100 meters hits me like a wave. I can hear the kitchen staff arguing about supplies 3 floors below me right now. I can tell that Captain Rodriguez is having bad dreams in his room. I know that Private Chin is crying and writing a letter home because she misses her daughter. And Tyler, your fear is so loud that it drowns out almost everything else. Of course I'm scared. My wife is dying and acting like it's a present. Rachel kept saying, it is a gift. Ambassador Vexare tried to lie to me about the creche threat yesterday. He wanted to downplay the threat so we wouldn't freak out. But I could tell what he was really saying. The creche have already wiped out 12 worlds that had thought-render people on them. Next on their list is Thresh VA, and they're coming sooner than anyone wants to admit. Tyler stopped walking around. What do you mean? The creche empire. They're scared of bonded riders because we can tell when someone is lying. Imagine trying to run a government that is strict when there are people who can feel the truth as if it were a physical thing. They can't let thought renders or bonded pairs happen. Rachel went to their data terminal and opened up files that were clearly not meant for her to see. I've been reading the messages that were intercepted. The creche are planning to invade completely. They want to kill every thought render on Earth. How did you get those files? Those are encrypted by the military. Dr. Patel was looking at them this morning. His daughter's birthday backwards is his password. Rachel looked at him with her bright eyes. Can't you see, Ty? This is why the bond is important. That's why I can't just go home and hide. I might be the only one who can help these people. Someone knocked on their door before Tyler could answer. Captain Rodriguez stormed in without asking for permission, his face red with rage. We need to talk, Dr. Mitchell. Right now. Let me guess, Rachel said in a calm voice. You found out that I got my hands on the secret information about the creche fleet's movements. Rodriguez's eye twitched. How do you keep doing that? We have security rules and encrypted systems. And I can tell when people are keeping things from me. It's like trying to ignore a fire alarm. Rachel put her arms across her chest. Why didn't you tell us the creche are only 6 weeks away? Because it's secret. Because making people panic doesn't help anyone. Rodriguez moved closer and spoke in a harsh whisper. And because Earth Command wants to learn more about you before the shooting starts. They think your skills could be used as weapons. Tyler felt a wave of anger wash over him. They want to make her a weapon? Rodriguez corrected. They want to know what she's become. A research team is on its way from Earth. In 4 days they will be here. Dr. Mitchell, you have to go through a lot of tests. No. Rachel's voice was flat. I'm not a guinea pig. You are part of Earth's diplomatic corps, so you do what you're told. Rodriguez's hand went to his gun. Don't make this hard. The air in the room suddenly felt heavy. Tyler could see Whisper's shadow in the window behind Rachel, even though the stables were half a mile away. The horn on the creature was glowing bright blue, and Tyler was shocked to see that Rachel's eyes were burning just as brightly. Captain Rodriguez, Rachel said, and her voice had that double quality again, like a person and something else were singing together. You need to leave this room. You're going to tell Earth Command that I'm working with you. And you will give me time to figure out how to stop the creche before they kill everyone on this planet? Not a chance. Rodriguez pulled out his gun. I have permission to use force if I need to. Then go ahead and use it. Rachel didn't move. Kill me now. Check out what happens when you kill a bonded rider. See if Whisper and the other thought renders just sit quietly in their stables while you kill their partners. Tyler got in between them. Everyone calm down. Rodriguez put the gun down. We'll figure this out. Rachel said, there's nothing to figure out. I'm going to the crystalline depths. Whisper has been showing me pictures of that place. The Valkyrie don't understand something about the bonding process. I have to see it before the research team gets here and locks me in a lab. Rodriguez said, you can't go to the crystalline depths. Not even the Valkyrie go there. It's a trap for death. This bond is supposed to be a death trap, but here I am. As Rachel walked toward the door, Tyler saw that she walked with the same rolling gait as Whisper now. Either help me or get out of my way. But I'm going whether you like it or not. Rodriguez turned to Tyler. You're her husband. Make her see sense. Tyler looked at his wife, the woman he had promised to love and protect for the rest of their lives. She was still the same Rachel. Still smart, stubborn, and brave to the point of being foolish. But she was also something else now, something he couldn't quite understand. How long? Tyler asked in a low voice. How long will the bond last before it kills you if you don't do this? Rachel's face softened. The visions that Whisper shares are becoming harder to understand. My brain is having a hard time processing thought render memories that go back hundreds of years. I have about a month before I completely lose myself. But maybe I can figure out what's really going on if I can get to the crystalline depths and see what Whisper is trying to show me. It's possible that the Valkyrie are wrong. It's possible that the bonded riders didn't die because they were crazy. What happened to them after that? Rachel smiled, and for the first time in weeks, it looked like her old smile. I'm going to find out what that is. Are you going with me? At 4 in the morning, the alarm woke Tyler up. Red emergency lights filled their room, and the station speakers blasted an automated warning that he had hoped never to hear. All personnel, get to your defensive positions. This is not a test. This is not a drill. Repeat. Tyler got out of bed and took his rifle out of the locker. Rachel was already standing next to him, fully dressed and staring at nothing with those glowing eyes. She whispered, "They're here. I can feel them. A lot of anger. Too much hate. Rachel, we need to get you to the safe place." No. Tyler grabbed her arm, but she stayed still. The crash. They sent troops ahead of time. 10 minutes ago, 3 ships broke through the defenses in orbit. Rachel's head tilted, as if she were listening to something only she could hear. They have soldiers on the ground. Killing teams. Targeting the stables, they say. How do you know that? Whisper can tell what they want. Before the main fleet gets there, they want to kill the thought renders. If they are successful, there won't be any bonded riders to tell the truth when the invasion starts. Rachel finally looked at him, and Tyler saw that those blue eyes were full of determination. I need to go to the stables. If I don't, people will die. Not at all. You're safe here, so stay here. Tyler tried to block the door, but Rachel pushed past him with surprising strength. Safe? Ty, there is no safe place anymore. Do you not understand? She was already in the hallway running to the door. Tyler swore and ran after her. The compound was a mess. Scientists and diplomats ran to the reinforced bunkers, while security guards rushed to their posts. Tyler could hear the distinct whine of plasma weapons firing and see explosions lighting up the sky in the distance. Captain Rodriguez came around a corner with his tactical vest half fastened. Mitchell, take your wife to the bunker. She won't leave. She says the stables are being attacked. The stables are on the other side of the compound. We have things under control. But while Rodriguez was talking, his comm unit was full of scared voices. East perimeter breached. Repeat, the east perimeter was breached. Get in touch at the stables. Many enemies. Now we need backup. Rodriguez's face turned white. He looked at Rachel with a new sense of fear. How did you find out? I told you. I can feel them. Rachel was already on the move again. They have bombs that go off. They'll blow up the whole stable complex in 3 minutes if we don't stop them. Tyler made a choice in a split second. He was going with Rachel if she was going. He would be damned if his wife had to fight off alien assassins by herself. Rodriguez, we need a ride. Now. The captain thought for a second before hitting the comm. Lopez, get a rover to the east door. We have a problem. The ride to the stables took only 90 seconds, but it felt like 90 hours. Tyler held his rifle so tightly that his knuckles turned white. Rachel, on the other hand, sat next to him perfectly still, eyes closed, and whispered to herself. Or maybe to whisper. He didn't know anymore. The stables were being shot at a lot when they got there. The Kresh soldiers, big creatures in black armor with too many arms and weapons that crackled with purple energy, had the human guards pinned down. Tyler counted at least 12 enemies and maybe more. Rodriguez said with a heavy heart, "We're outnumbered and outgunned. We need to pull back and wait for more troops. There isn't enough time." Before they even stopped moving, Rachel opened the door to the rover. Whisper and the others are scared. They can sense that death is coming. Wait, Rachel. Tyler jumped out after her, but she was already on her way to the stable door. The Kresh saw her right away. 3 of them pointed their guns at her, and Tyler's heart stopped. Then Whisper broke through the wall of the stable. The thought render moved faster than anything that size should have been able to. The light from the fires bounced off her crystal body, making rainbow patterns on the battlefield. The Kresh soldiers shot at Whisper, but their plasma bolts just bounced off her scales like rain. Rachel jumped onto Whisper's back in the middle of a step, moving with a grace she'd never had before. They became one unit, with the rider and the mount thinking as one. Tyler was amazed to see his wife, who had never ridden a horse on Earth, control a 15-foot alien creature like they had been partners for years. Eyes. Rachel yelled, and Tyler somehow got it. The Kresh armor was almost impossible to get through, but their visual sensors were weak. He changed his aim and shot, hitting the enemy's main eyepiece. The creature fell, and Whisper was there in a flash, her horn going through a weak spot in the armor joints. Rodriguez and his team joined the fight and worked with Rachel in a way that shouldn't have been possible. Before the soldiers even showed up, she yelled out where the enemy was. She told them to be careful about grenades before they were thrown. It was like fighting with someone who could see the future. Lopez behind you. 3 more are coming around the corner to the south. Rachel's voice stood out clearly in the noise. Rodriguez, the one on your left is about to blow up. Shoot the bag on his back. The captain didn't ask her anything. He shot, and the Kresh soldier blew up in a flash of purple flame that killed 2 of his friends. But more kept coming. Tyler's rifle was running low on power, and he could see that the human defenders were getting tired. The Kresh were professional soldiers, and they had probably been in a dozen planetary invasions before. The people were scientists and diplomats who had some basic combat training. We can't keep them for much longer, Tyler shouted, dropping behind cover as plasma fire scorched the wall above his head. Rachel's eyes shone brighter than ever. I know. That's why I'm going to do something crazy soon. Ty, you have to trust me no matter what happens next. What do you have in mind? They're hiding. Rachel's voice sounded strange again, with that strange harmony on top of it. I can feel it. There are more Kresh in the compound. Agents who sleep. They've been here for weeks, maybe even months, acting like maintenance workers or traders. They're the real danger. That's not possible. We checked everyone. They tricked your scanners, but they can't trick me. Tyler felt the air around them change when Rachel closed her eyes. It was like being next to a generator with all the crackling energy and rising pressure. I'm going to send out a message. Send out a pulse that will make every Kresh in the compound feel what I do. Make them show themselves. You don't know what that will do to you, Rachel. I know it could kill me. But if I'm right, we can save everyone here if I can show everyone the infiltrators at once. He could see his wife under all that blue glow as she looked down at him from Whisper's back. I love you. Keep that in mind. Rachel and Whisper's light burst out before he could say anything. Not the soft blue light they usually gave off, but a bright white energy wave that swept across the whole compound. Tyler felt it go through him like a ghost, leaving behind a strange tingling feeling. Then the screaming began. People who looked perfectly normal all over the compound suddenly fell to the ground, holding their heads. The Kresh could read minds, and what Rachel had just sent out hit them hard. Their disguises didn't work. Holographic projectors sparked and died, showing the armored soldiers underneath. That's it. Rodriguez pointed to a person near the building where the administration works. And there. Oh my God, there must be 20 of them. 23, Rachel said in shock. She swayed on Whisper's back and Tyler saw blood coming out of her nose. I can't keep this up much longer. Now is the time to move. The human security forces didn't need to be told twice. It was almost easy to neutralize the infiltrators once they were out in the open and confused. Tyler saw it all happen in a blur and couldn't believe what his wife had just done. Rachel finally fell down when the last Kresh soldier fell. Tyler caught her as she fell off of Whisper's back. Her body was limp and very hot. He whispered, I've got you. I've got you. Her eyes opened and they were still glowing but not as much. Did it work? Yes, it worked. You saved everyone. Tyler put his forehead against hers. But Rachel, you're on fire. We need to take you to the doctor. Not yet. She held onto his arm weakly. I have something to tell you. I felt the Kresh fleet when I broadcast. All of them. Ty, they aren't 6 weeks away. In 10 days they'll be here. And they have enough weapons to destroy this whole world. Rachel couldn't walk, so the emergency council meeting took place in the medical bay. Tyler sat next to her bed, holding her hand while she fought with people who were half a galaxy away through holographic projection. The Colonial Defense Council of Earth filled the room with flashing blue images of 12 of the most powerful people in human space, and they were all scared. General Hayes was the first to speak, and his weathered face showed worry. Dr. Mitchell, our study backs up what you said. In 9 days, not 6 weeks, the Kresh fleet will be here. How did you find out this? Rachel's voice was hoarse and weak from the broadcast that had saved the compound. I felt them, General. My mind touched theirs for a moment when I sent out that pulse to show the intruders. I saw everything, including their plans for battle and when they would invade. Director Chin cut in saying, that's not possible. She was in charge of Earth's intelligence division, and she didn't seem to believe it. Are you saying you did a telepathic spying job across light years of space? I'm telling you what happened. You have 9 days to leave this planet or get ready for war, whether you believe it or not. When Rachel coughed, Tyler saw more blood on her lips. She was getting worse, and since the broadcast she was getting worse faster. Tyler said something. She needs to see a doctor. We can wait to talk about this. General Hayes said firmly, no, it can't. Dr. Mitchell, we need you to come back to Earth. We need our xenobiologists and neurologists to look into this bond and figure out how it works. It could change the whole war if we can copy it and make more riders who are bonded. Rachel laughed with anger. Make more? General, do you know what you're asking? The bond is making me sick. Every day I lose a little more of who I am. And you want to put more people through this? Director Chin said, we're talking about saving billions of lives. If bonded riders can find Kresh infiltrators and gather information the way you did, they will be our most important military asset. You must see the strategic value. I see that you want to turn people into weapons and burn them out like light bulbs. Rachel's eyes got brighter and a few of the holograms flickered. I won't help you with that. Ambassador Liu, who was in charge of diplomacy, raised his hands to calm everyone down. Dr. Mitchell, please. No one wants to take advantage of you. But we need choices. The Kresh have been growing for hundreds of years, taking in or killing every species they come across. Next on their list will be humanity if we don't find a way to beat their military strength. Tyler could feel Rachel's hand shaking in his. He could see that she was having a hard time, torn between her duty to Earth and what she knew the bond would cost. Rachel said softly, there might be another way. But it means going to the crystalline depths. The Valkyrie have gotten the bonding process wrong. I can feel it. The people who rode before me didn't die from being crazy. They went through something else. What do you mean? General Hayes leaned in and his picture changed a little. Whisper has been giving me bits and pieces of the past. The riders who were bonded didn't die, they changed. They changed into something else that the Valkyrie couldn't understand, so they called it death. Rachel sat up straighter even though Tyler told her not to. There's a genetic library in the crystalline depths that dates back to before the Kresh plague changed the thought renders. I might find out the truth about who we are if I can get to it. We. The voice of Director Chin was sharp. You're still a person, Dr. Mitchell? Am I? Rachel looked down at her hands, which were glowing. I can tell when people are lying from across the compound. I can feel my feelings as if they were real things. I can speak the Valkyrie clicking language without ever having learned it. My body temperature is 5 degrees higher than normal, and I haven't slept in 4 days because Whisper doesn't sleep like people do. So, Director, what percentage of me is human now? The room where the council met became quiet. Tyler held Rachel's hand tightly, trying to fight off the fear that was threatening to take over. She was correct. Every day she was changing into something else and he couldn't stop it. Ambassador Liu spoke up. Let's say you go to these crystalline depths and find this archive. What do you do next? How does that help us with the Kresh invasion? Because the thought renders weren't always animals, Rachel said. Whisper's memories show me a society and culture based on shared consciousness and the truth. The Kresh used a bioweapon to destroy that and make them less intelligent. But the genetic data is still there. Maybe I can reverse the process if I can get to it. Maybe I can bring back what the thought renders used to be. And make an army of aliens who can read minds to fight the Kresh? General Hayes sounded like he had some hope. No. Make friends. Partners. People who can fight against an empire based on lies and propaganda. Rachel's voice got louder. The Kresh stay in charge by lying. Their soldiers think they're bringing civilization to worlds that aren't very advanced. People in their country think they're the heroes. But bonded riders can tell the truth and make people feel real instead of propaganda. We can't beat them with weapons, but we might be able to beat them with honesty. Tyler saw the council members look at each other. He could see them thinking, weighing their options and weighing the risks. These people were not religious or emotional, they were strategic and statistical. First, Director Chin spoke. The crystalline depths are a place no one has been before. The Valkyrie stay away from them too. You might be about to walk into a death trap. Rachel said plainly, I'm already dying. Vexare says I have about 3 more weeks before the bond completely destroys my neural pathways. This way at least my death might mean something. Rachel, don't, Tyler said softly, but she held his hand tightly. Tyler had seen General Hayes drum his fingers on his desk before, which was a nervous habit. What do you need if we let this trip happen? Time and freedom, Rachel said. Stop trying to learn about me. Please stop treating me like an experiment. Let me take a small group to the depths. If I'm right, being able to get into the archive and find out the truth about the bonding process could give us a chance against the Kresh. If I'm wrong, you only lost one dying xenobiologist. And what if you change like you think the other riders did? Ambassador Liu wanted to know. What if you turn into something that isn't human? Rachel was quiet for a long time. Tyler could feel her hands shaking and the heat coming off her skin. Then I guess we'll see if people can accept allies who used to be human. Because I won't be the last. There will be more bonded riders if we make it through this war. More changes. The question isn't if I'll change. Is Earth ready for what I'll become? Captain Rodriguez had been standing in the corner without saying a word the whole time. He stepped forward now. I'll be in charge of the expedition's security detail. This compound was saved by Dr. Mitchell. The least I can do is make sure she gets to the depths safely. Tyler said right away, I'm going too. Not up for discussion. Director Chen let out a sigh. This is very strange. We should be getting people out of there, not sending them on archaeological trips to places they shouldn't be. General Hayes said, the Valkyrie fleet can handle evacuations. And to be honest, we don't have any other choices. We should let Dr. Mitchell try to find something useful in those depths if she thinks she can. He looked directly at Rachel through the holographic link. You have permission for your trip. But Dr. Mitchell, I need reports every day. And if things get worse and you start to lose yourself in this bond, I'm telling Captain Rodriguez to bring you back to Earth by force if he has to. Got it, General? Rachel's smile looked tired. Though, if I start to lose myself, I don't think force will work very well. Whisper doesn't like it when people threaten her. The holograms winked out one by one as the council meeting came to an end. Tyler and Rachel were the only ones in the medical bay, and the only sound was the steady beep of the monitoring equipment. Tyler said, you should eat something, but he knew she wouldn't. Can't keep food down anymore. Thought renders don't eat the same way that people do. They get nutrients directly from sunlight and minerals through their skin. Rachel looked at him with her eyes that shone. I'm sorry, Ty. I know this isn't the life you thought you were getting when you married me. Tyler said firmly, I signed up for better or worse. This is definitely worse, but I'm not going anywhere. Even if I change into something you don't know? Tyler leaned in and kissed her forehead, which was hot from the fever. I'll always know who you are. You are Rachel Mitchell. You are smart, brave, and stubborn to the point of being foolish. No matter what happens to your body, that won't change. She smiled, really smiled, and for a second she looked like the woman he had married. We leave for the crystalline depths at dawn. Ty, get some sleep. What about you? I'll take a break. In my own way. Tyler knew Rachel was connecting with Whisper when she closed her eyes. The creature across the compound was sharing consciousness with her. He stared at her for a long time, taking in every detail of her face. He was scared that one day soon he would look at her and see only a stranger. The canyon looked like a wound in the planet's surface, miles deep and glowing with an inner light that hurt to look at directly. Tyler stood at the edge and looked down into the crystalline depths. His stomach turned. That's where we're going? He asked, even though he already knew the answer. Rachel nodded, and the light from below made her eyes look like prisms. At the bottom is the archive. Whisper can feel it calling her. To us. As planned, the expedition team met at dawn. Captain Rodriguez brought 5 of his best soldiers, all of whom had volunteered and knew they might not come back. Dr. Patel insisted on coming even though he had no combat training, saying that they would need medical help. Vexare and 2 other Valkyrie came along as guides, but they looked nervous about going into the Forbidden Zone. Vexare said, my people have stories about this place. His skin turned pale gray, which Tyler had learned meant fear. They say the bonded riders came here to die, but their voices never stopped echoing. Some people said they could hear them singing in the crystals, making promises or warnings. Most people thought it was just the wind playing tricks. Rachel said softly, it's not the wind. I can hear them too. 17 voices, all the riders who came before. They're trying to say something to me. Even though the air was warm, Tyler felt a chill run down his spine. Rachel, maybe we should think about this again. What if all those riders died down there? They didn't die. They changed. There is a difference. Rachel turned to face the team, and Tyler saw that she didn't look like a person anymore. Her skin had a faint glow, and her movements were too smooth and graceful. I know you're all scared. I can feel it coming off of each of you. But this is our only shot. Everyone on this planet will die if the Kresh come and we can't fight back. Everyone. Rodriguez looked at his gun for the 3rd time. So what's the plan? We go down, find this archive, and then what? Then I get to it. The genetic information stored there will tell me what the thought renders were like before the Kresh plague changed them. And I hope it will show me what I'm becoming. Rachel looked at Whisper, who was standing nearby with a few other thought renders. We're not going down. We're going to ride. Tyler's eyes got bigger. Ride? Down that cliff? Thought renders can walk on any surface. Their feet release a glue that lets them stick to crystal and stone. Rachel went over to Whisper's side, and the creature bent down so she could get on. Believe me. Tyler thought, famous last words, but he still climbed onto Whisper's back behind Rachel. The other team members got on the other thought renders with different levels of fear. The descent was scary. Whisper walked straight down the cliff face as if it were flat ground. Her 8 legs found places to stand on surfaces that looked smooth as glass. Tyler held on to Rachel tightly, his eyes closed, sure that they would fall and become a stain at the bottom of the canyon at any moment. "Look," Rachel said in a low voice. "Ty, you need to see this." He didn't want to, but he opened his eyes and gasped. The walls of the canyon were full of light, and patterns moved through the crystal like blood through veins. And in the light, he could see shapes, pictures, and memories that had been frozen in stone. "It's a record," Rachel said. The crystals held the history of the thought renders. Every big event and every important moment will be remembered forever. Tyler saw scenes happen on the glowing walls. Cities made entirely of crystal that are beautiful and impossible. Animals that looked like thought renders but walked on 2 legs and used their special front limbs to make tools. A society of beings who shared their minds and never felt alone because they were always in touch with each other. And then it got dark. Ships coming down from the sky. The Kresh, younger but just as cruel. They saw the thought render civilization as a threat because they couldn't be defeated by normal means. Lies and propaganda didn't work on beings who could sense truth directly. So they let the plague out. A bioweapon meant to break down, take away intelligence and culture, and leave only animals behind. Tyler was horrified to see the 2-legged thought renders fall apart. Their bodies twisted and changed, and their minds screamed silently as they lost themselves. "They called it the forgetting," Rachel said, her eyes full of tears. "Picture knowing who you are, what you are, and feeling it all slip away. Feeling yourself fade away until all that's left is instinct, hunger, and fear." It took 2 hours to get down, and Tyler's legs were shaking by the time they got to the bottom. The floor of the canyon was not the same as the walls above it. The crystal had grown into structures here, buildings that hummed with energy that was barely contained. The biggest building in the middle was a dome that pulsed with light in time with Rachel's heartbeat. Or was it the heartbeat of Whisper? Tyler didn't know anymore. Vexare said, "The archive. By the ancestors, it's real." Rachel got off of Whisper's back and walked toward the dome as if she were in a trance. Tyler noticed something strange when the other thought renders came after him. Now they were all glowing, and their bodies were vibrating at the same frequency as the archive. "Wait, Rachel." Tyler chased after her, but she had already put her hand on the dome's surface. The canyon was filled with light so bright that everyone had to look away. When Tyler could see again, Rachel was inside the dome, and streams of data were swirling around her. Genetic sequences, molecular structures, and memories from thousands of years ago all flowed around her like a river. Rachel's voice echoed in a strange way, as if it were singing along with itself. The plague didn't kill their DNA, it just made it less active. The genetic information about what they were is still there, but it's hidden in every thought render. The Valkyrie never knew because they never looked closely enough. Dr. Patel took out his scanner and the readings went crazy. Her brain activity just tripled. She's taking in information at a speed that shouldn't be possible. Her brain should be on fire from all the work. "It's not just her brain anymore," Tyler said softly as he watched his wife talk to an alien database. "It's also Whisper's. They're splitting the work." Rachel's body started to change inside the dome. Her skin became like Whisper's scales, with light shining through it. When Tyler tried to look directly at her eyes, they were so bright that they left afterimages. Rachel said, "The bonding process," but it was definitely both her and Whisper now, and their voices were perfectly in sync. "It's not making something new. It's bringing back what was lost." The thought renders weren't always animals. They were real people. And when they connect with other species, they are remembering how to be people again. "What's that supposed to mean?" Rodriguez asked. "Talk plainly." Rachel turned to look at them, and Tyler saw both his wife and something much older looking out of the same eyes. "It means that the bonded riders won't die. They finished the change that the plague stopped." The Valkyrie called it death because the riders' bodies couldn't handle the change. But their minds lived on and merged with their thought renders, becoming something that was both and neither. Vexare said, "The voices and the crystals," and understanding began to dawn. The 17 riders. They are still here. 17 voices spoke through Rachel at the same time saying, "We're all here." Waiting, looking, hoping that someone would finally get it. Tyler's knees started to give out. "Rachel, are you still in there?" The person in the dome smiled, and it was Rachel's smile, which was warm and familiar even though everything else had changed. "I'm here, Ty. I'm still the same person. But I'm not just me anymore. I know what needs to happen. You don't have to be afraid of the change. It's a change. A restoration. Can you stop the plague? Dr. Patel asked, his fear giving way to his scientific curiosity. Can you bring the thought renders back to what they were? Not quite. It's been too long. But I can make a bridge. You can change the bonding process to make it safer. Not permanent but temporary. Thought renders can connect with both humans and Valkyrie for short periods of time, allowing them to experience the shared consciousness without fully changing. Rachel, or the thing Rachel was becoming, pointed at the data that was flowing around her. And for those who want to fully bond and finish the transformation, the archive can help. Make it hurt less. Not as deadly. How much time do we have? Tyler wanted to know. Before you finish changing? Rachel's face relaxed. Hours. Perhaps a day. The archive is speeding things up. But Ty, I need you to get this. I won't die when I change. I'll still be here. I will always love you. I won't be human anymore. Tyler went into the dome anyway, even though the others told him not to. He held Rachel's glowing hands in his. I don't care what you turn into. You're my wife. That's all that matters. She kissed him and her lips were very hot against his. Then look at what we should become. While they were still in the crystalline depths, the alarms went off. Rodriguez's and Tyler's communication devices buzzed like crazy against their hips. The captain took it first and his face went pale as he listened. Here they are. The Kresh fleet just came out of jump space. 200 warships, maybe more. Rodriguez looked at Rachel, who was still inside the dome. Her body was halfway between human and something else. We don't have any more time. Tyler's heart sank. How long until they get into orbit? They're already in space. They didn't follow the usual rules for how to approach. Just jumped right into attack mode. Rodriguez was already moving and telling his team to get on their horses. We need to go back to the compound right now. But Rachel raised her hand and everyone stopped. People had to listen to her voice now, whether they wanted to or not. Going back won't do any good. That kind of firepower will break through the compound shields. We'd be stuck when they start firing. What do you think we should do? Vexare asked, his skin changing colors so quickly that it looked like it was flashing. We can't fight 200 warships with the troops we have. No, we can't fight them. Tyler could hardly stop himself from gasping when Rachel stepped out of the dome. She looked more like Whisper than herself now. Her skin had a shiny, crystal-like look, and her movements were perfectly in time with those of the thought render next to her. But I can talk to them. Talk. Rodriguez laughed, but it was a sound that made him feel like he was about to panic. You want to talk to an invading fleet? I want to broadcast to them the same way I broadcast to show the intruders. But bigger. More powerful. I can reach every mind in that fleet and make them feel the truth of what they're doing. Rachel's bright eyes looked over the whole team. The Kresh Empire is built on lies. Their soldiers think they're heroes who are bringing order to the chaos. People in their country think they're the good guys. But I can show them the truth. The mass murder. The violence. The innocent animals they've killed. Tyler grabbed her arm and felt the strange heat of her skin. That broadcast almost killed you last time and only a few dozen people saw it. You're talking about getting to tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands. Rachel, it'll wear you out completely. I know. She said it in such a calm way like she was talking about the weather. But if I don't, everyone on Earth will die. Everyone. The people, the Valkyrie, and all the thought render. The Kresh will glass the surface and then go to the next world. Tyler kept saying, there has to be another way, but he knew there wasn't. With a scanner in hand, Dr. Patel stepped up. At the very least, let me keep an eye on your vital signs if you're going to try this. I might be able to help you stay calm during the broadcast. Rachel smiled sadly. Doc, if I do this, there won't be any vital signs to check. Not ones that are human, though. I appreciate the thought, but the ride back up the canyon was faster than the ride down. The thought renders seemed to know how important it was, because they moved faster than they should have been able to. Tyler held Rachel close, remembering how she felt, knowing that this might be the last time they were together. The sky was full of metal when they came out of the depths. Kresh warships floated in space like dark clouds, blocking out the stars. Tyler could see smaller ships already coming down, troop carriers and bombers getting ready to attack the planet. When they got there, the compound was a mess. People were running all over the place. Some were trying to get out, while others were setting up last-ditch defenses that everyone knew would fail. Earth's small fleet was already in orbit, and their ships looked like bugs next to the Kresh Armada. Tyler saw the human cruiser Valiant get hit directly on the main view screen of the compound. The shields failed and a wave of blue light filled the room. She was still fighting and shooting, but she was dying. Rodriguez read tactical data from his command station and said, "We have maybe an hour before they start surface bombardment. Earth Command is telling everyone to leave, but we don't have enough ships to do that. At least 60% of our staff will leave. Not if I can stop them." Rachel had gone to the middle of the main plaza of the compound, with Whisper next to her. There was a silent call that drew the other thought renders together as well. Tyler counted 12 of them and they all had the same blue light around them. Vexare moved slowly. "What are you going to do, Dr. Mitchell?" Rachel said, "The other bonded pairs. The 17 riders whose minds lived on in the crystalline depths. They will help me. We're going to work together and broadcast. It should be enough to get to the whole fleet." "Should be." Tyler said it again. "Rachel, are you betting your life on should be?" She looked at him and for a brief moment she was completely Rachel again. Espouse. The woman who would fall asleep on his shoulder while he was doing research for a long time. Who told bad jokes when she was scared. Who cried at sad movies even though she said she didn't. "Ty, I need you to do something for me. When I'm done with the transformation, I need you to tell people what happened here. Tell them that the bonded riders are not weapons or monsters. We are just people who have changed. Can you do that for me?" Tyler's tears made his vision blurry. "You're talking like you're going to die. Please help me. The human part of me is going away. Something new is coming to life." She kissed him softly and sweetly. "I love you. I loved you the day you spilled coffee on yourself to impress me. No matter what I look like, I will always love you." She walked to the center of the plaza, where the thought renders were waiting before Tyler could say anything. She got on Whisper's back and the other animals made a circle around them. Dr. Patel looked at his scanner one last time. Her brain activity is through the roof. Ty, if she does this, she won't be able to come back. The change will be permanent and complete. "I know," Tyler said softly. The Kresh fleet was getting into position for an attack in orbit. Tyler could see the weapons charging up, bright purple points of light that would soon rain death on everything below. Rachel shut her eyes. The blue light got stronger and spread from her to Whisper and then to all the other thought renders in the circle. The light got so bright that Tyler had to cover his eyes. And then he knew it. It was like someone had opened a window in his head. He could suddenly feel Rachel's mind, which was huge, deep, and completely different from his own. But still, underneath it all, she was still herself. Still his wife. The broadcast hit the Kresh fleet like a huge wave. Tyler watched as ship after ship went dark and their weapons stopped working. He could feel what the Kresh soldiers were going through, the horror and realization coming over them in waves. They saw themselves as they really were. Saw the worlds on fire, the people screaming, and the species that were going extinct. They were left with nothing but the truth after all the lies their government had told them fell apart. They were the bad guys. They had always been the bad guys. Some ships turned around and ran away right away because their crews couldn't handle the sudden weight of guilt. Others just floated, dead in space, their crews too shocked to do anything. Some of them tried to keep fighting but they didn't really want to anymore. You couldn't kill a whole race of people once you really understood what you were doing. The captain of the Valiant came over the radio and sounded amazed. "Whatever you just did, it worked. The Kresh fleet is breaking up. They're going back. Some of them are really sending out signals that they are giving up." Tyler, on the other hand, wasn't paying attention. He was watching Rachel change for the last time. Her body was breaking down into pure light and merging with Whisper so that he couldn't tell where one ended and the other began. The blue light got brighter one last time, then it burst out in a wave that covered the whole compound. Rachel was gone when the light went out. Something beautiful and terrible stood in her place. Whisper had gotten bigger, and her crystal body now had patterns that looked a lot like Rachel's face. And her eyes, which were too smart, held both consciousness looking out at the world. Tyler walked up slowly with his hand out. "Rachel? Are you still there?" The merge turned to face him, and when it spoke, it was both Rachel's and Whisper's voices singing together. "Hey Ty. I'm always here. I don't feel separate anymore. We're one being now, living in the same space." Tyler's hand touched the clear surface, and he gasped as feelings washed over him. Love, happiness, sadness. Rachel's feelings for him stayed the same after the change. She was different, strange, and hard to recognize. But she was still his wife. "What do we do now?" he asked. Rachel and Whisper said, "Now we save both of our species. The Kresh fleet is broken, but they will come together again. Unless we can show the whole empire the truth. Unless we can show every Kresh world what their government really is by broadcasting it." Tyler looked up at the sky, where the Kresh ships were still running away. "That's a lot of people. You'd have to send out signals across light years." "We know. That's why we're not going by ourselves. Rachel and Whisper pointed at the other thought renders. The 17 riders are ready to finish changing into their new selves. We'll be strong enough if we work together. Strong enough to change everything. Tyler had never been through anything like the days after the fleet's retreat. Rachel was still alive, but not in any way he could have expected. She could now walk on 2 legs and be separate from Whisper. Her human form was mostly intact, but the crystalline patterns were still visible under her skin like living tattoos. And when she moved, Whisper moved in perfect sync from wherever she was. Their bodies reacted to the same thoughts even when they were miles apart. 3 days after the change, Tyler found her in the observation dome, looking out at the stars. Or to put it another way, he found both of them. Rachel stood by the window while Whisper lay down nearby. Their breathing and heartbeats were perfectly in sync. "Hey," he said quietly so he wouldn't scare her. Tyler's breath caught when Rachel turned. She looked more like a person today than she had right after the change, but her eyes still glowed with that blue light. "Hey, you couldn't get to sleep? Are you able to sleep?" Tyler got up and stood next to her. "Do you even need to do that anymore?" "Not like I used to. Whisper doesn't sleep the same way people do. We kind of meditate together, letting our minds drift through memories we both have." Rachel smiled, and it was the same smile that had made him fall in love with her. "Yesterday I saw her as a child. 300 years ago, she was a child learning to walk on crystal surfaces with her mother. It was beautiful. Also sad. She was one of the last people born before the Kresh plague really took hold." Tyler wanted to hold her hand, but he was unsure. Does it hurt? Being 2 things at the same time? It's not being 2 things. That is what everyone keeps getting wrong. Rachel finally took his hand, and even though everything was different, her touch was warm and familiar. "I'm not Rachel and Whisper. We both became one thing. We both think when I do. I feel what Whisper feels. There isn't any separation anymore. But you're talking to me right now. You are standing on 2 legs and using words. That's not Whisper, that's Rachel. It's both of us deciding to talk in a way you can understand." Rachel gently squeezed his hand. "Look." She shut her eyes and Whisper stood across the room. Rachel's body moved in perfect time with the thought render as it moved to the window. Then Rachel opened her mouth, and the sound that came out was pure thought render. It clicked and harmonized in ways that human vocal cords shouldn't be able to do. Rachel said after the demonstration, "That's Whisper speaking through my body. And I can see through her eyes and think through her mind. We are 2 bodies controlled by 1 mind. Does that make sense?" Tyler's head hurt from trying to understand it. "No, not really. But I'm doing my best. That's all I want." Rachel leaned against him and Tyler put his arms around her. He was glad that this still felt normal. The others will finish changing tomorrow. The 17 riders from the crystalline depths have found willing Valkyrie and human partners. Everyone will need to help with what's next. Tyler said, the broadcast to Kresh space. It wasn't a question. Everyone knew what Rachel and the other beings who had merged were going to do. A huge telepathic message that would travel across light years and reach every Kresh world at the same time. Rachel said, "It's the only way to end this for good. They'd send another fleet if we just beat their fleet. And one more. We need to change their whole civilization and make them see how wrong they are. What if it doesn't work? What if they choose to come after you instead?" Rachel pulled back to look at him, her eyes glowing with seriousness. "Then we at least gave it a shot. We at least gave them a chance to improve." The next morning, Tyler stood with Captain Rodriguez and Dr. Patel in the ceremonial room where the changes would happen. 17 Valkyrie and human volunteers had chosen to bond with thought renders, knowing that they would never be the same again. Private Chin, a young soldier who had fought with them during the Kresh infiltrator attack, was one of the volunteers. Before the ceremony started, she went up to Tyler with a look of determination and fear on her face. "Mr. Mitchell, can I talk to you?" "Sure." "Was your wife still herself after she changed? I mean really her, not just acting like it?" Tyler thought about how Rachel's body felt warm, solid, and real next to him last night. Thought about how she still told bad jokes when she was nervous. The way she cried yesterday when she talked about Whisper's family that had died. Tyler said, "She's different. But she's still Rachel. The woman I love is still there." The change didn't take away who she was, it just added to it. Chin nodded slowly. "My partner is Dawn. At only 40 years old, she's still young for a thought render. I could feel her loneliness when we touched during the first bonding. She really wanted to connect with someone. I can't just leave that behind." "Then don't," Tyler said in a simple way. "But don't forget to say goodbye to the people who matter. Just in case." The ceremony was both beautiful and scary at the same time. Tyler saw each volunteer walk up to their chosen thought render and put their hands on the glowing horns. The light that came with each bonding was so bright that it hurt the volunteers' eyes. When it went away they were different. Some more than others. A few still looked mostly human or Valkyrie, but their skin had patterns that looked like crystals. Some had changed more completely, with bodies that had traits of both species. Personal Chin came out of her change with tears in her eyes, but she was still smiling. Dawn stood next to her, and they moved together as one, with their faces perfectly mirroring each other. Chin whispered in awe, "I can feel everything." Dawn's memories and feelings. We're all together. Very close. I'm not by myself anymore. Rachel went up to the newly changed people, and Tyler watched as they talked to each other in ways he couldn't understand. There were no words, just waves of light and color that carried their thoughts and feelings. Rachel came back to him when they were done. "We're ready," she said. 18 beings that are all connected to each other. It should be enough to send out across Kresh space. Enough to reach every world and every person. When? Tyler asked, even though he was afraid of the answer. At dawn tomorrow. We need time to get ready and fully sync our minds. Rachel held both of his hands. Ty, I need you to know something. It's going to take all of our resources to make this broadcast. We'll get through it, but we'll be different afterward. After this, we'll be more like thought render than people. More connected to each other than to our old species. You're saying you'll be even farther away from me? Tyler tried to keep the anger out of his voice, but he couldn't. No. I'm saying that I will change, but I will still love you. No matter how many changes I go through, that will always be true. Rachel put her forehead against his. I'm still your wife. I'm still the woman who said yes when you asked me to marry you on the beach in New Seattle. Even though old looks different now than we thought it would, I'm still the one who wants to grow old with you. He held her close and breathed in her scent. She smelled different now, like minerals, ozone, and something sweet that he couldn't put his finger on. But no matter what, she still smelled like Rachel. I am scared, he said. Afraid of losing you completely. I'm afraid that one day you'll look at me and see me as a strange person from your past. Not ever. Rachel's voice was strong. Ty, look at me. Take a good look. He did, and he saw those bright blue eyes that were both strange and familiar. Rachel said, I remember everything. Our first date was at that awful Italian restaurant. When we got lost while hiking and had to sleep outside. The morning you brought me coffee in bed and spilled it all over us. It's all still here, every moment and every memory. The change didn't change who I was. It just made it bigger. Promise me something, Tyler said. Promise me that you'll come back to me no matter what happens tomorrow or how much you change. Even if it's only for a minute. I promise. Rachel kissed him and her lips were hot but soft. I'll always come back to you. Tyler couldn't sleep that night because Rachel was meditating next to him. Her mind was somewhere between sleep and waking, mixed with whispers. He tried to remember every detail as he watched her chest rise and fall and listened to her breathing. Because the woman he loved would send her thoughts across light years of space tomorrow. She would touch millions of minds and make an entire empire face the truth about what they had done. And when it was over, she'd be even more strange than she already was. But she would still be Rachel. He had to believe that. She had to keep her promise. As the sun came up, Tyler finally fell asleep, holding Rachel's hand. And in his dreams he saw what she saw through Whisper's eyes. The other 17 beings that had merged with it were all glowing with the same blue light and were all linked together in a web of shared consciousness. They looked great together. They had enough power together to change the galaxy. He just hoped the galaxy was ready for them. It had been 6 months since the show that changed everything. Tyler stood in the bonding chamber on HFY, looking through the clear walls at the purple sunset and thinking about how much his life had changed. He still remembered the day of the big broadcast very clearly. From the observation deck, he saw Rachel and the other 17 merged beings make a circle in the plaza. Their combined light was so bright that it turned night into day and was so strong that every screen and communication device on Earth flickered with interference. They had kept the broadcast going for 3 hours. 3 hours of pushing their minds across impossible distances and touching every Kresh mind they could find. Tyler had felt echoes of it even before he was bonded. Waves of emotion and truth washed over him until he fell to his knees and cried. Rachel had fallen down when it was over. All the others did too. For 2 days they had been unconscious while Dr. Patel and the medical team frantically checked their vital signs, which made less and less sense as time went on. Their cells were changing, making their bodies more crystalline and more alien. But they had made it. And most importantly, they had done it. The Kresh Empire didn't fall apart all at once. Nothing that big could. But the cracks had already begun. Soldiers left. Governors stepped down. Whole planets broke away from the central government. Within weeks, the empire that had terrorized the galaxy for hundreds of years was breaking up into dozens of smaller states. Some of these states were even trying to make up for the horrible things they had done in the past. It wasn't great. Some Kresh groups doubled down and got even more violent in their efforts to stay in charge. But now they were the minority and the galaxy knew it. Tyler turned around when he heard footsteps behind him. Rachel walked into the room on two legs, but she didn't look like a person anymore. Her skin was completely clear now, and her body caught and reflected light in ways that made it hard to look at directly. Her eyes were always blue fire, and when she moved, she left faint trails of light in the air. But Rachel's smile was still there. "You came," she said, and her voice echoed back to itself, with human words mixed in with thought-render frequencies. "You told me to. Of course I did come." Tyler was able to keep his voice steady. "Is it time?" "Almost. The rest are meeting in the meditation grove. But I wanted to talk to you first. By myself." Rachel got closer, and Tyler saw Whisper's shadow on the far wall, copying every move she made. They were never really apart again. "We made the temporary bonding process perfect. The one I told you about in the archive. People in Valkyrie can now bond with thought renders for short periods of time and feel the connection without changing permanently." "I know. I have read the reports. 30 people have already tried it. They said it was hard but doable." Tyler looked closely at her crystal-clear face, trying to find any sign of the woman he had married. "Rachel, why did you want me to come?" "Because I want you to give it a shot. To temporarily connect with a thought render. To know how this feels." Rachel reached out, and even though her skin was hard, her touch was warm. "Not with Whisper. We are too close now. But there's one more. A young one named Echo. She has been waiting for you." Tyler's heart began to race. "Me? Why would she wait for me?" "She knows you because of our connection. Knows how you feel and think about me. About all of this." Rachel's eyes were very bright. "And they need ambassadors because if people are going to accept us, the bonded beings, they need to. People who can talk about what they've been through. Who can say, I felt what they feel and it's not scary, it's beautiful. You want me to connect." Tyler got it now. "Between the bonded and the unbonded. I want you to have a say. The same choice we all had." Rachel gently squeezed his hand. "You can bond for a short time, feel the connection for a few days or weeks, and then go back to being a normal person. You can also just leave now and I'll never ask again. But Ty, I believe you need this. I think you need to know what happened to me. Really get it." Tyler thought about what had happened in the last 6 months. Seeing Rachel change into something more and more strange. Watching her drift further and further away from being human, even though she said she was still herself. The loneliness of sleeping next to someone who didn't really sleep anymore. It was frustrating for him to talk to her when he could only understand half of what she was saying. And under it all, the fear. She was always afraid that one day she would look at him and see a stranger. Tyler said slowly, "What happens to us if I do this and bond with Echo? To our wedding?" Rachel's face softened. "You'll get what I'm saying better. Feel what I feel. Understand what it's like to have two bodies and one mind. That might help. It might make things worse. I really don't know. But I think it's worth a shot." A thought render came into the room. It was smaller than Whisper but still impressive. Her scales were a light gold color, and her eyes had a soft curiosity that made Tyler think of a young dog meeting someone new. Rachel said, "This is Echo. She's just 30. Thought render standards say she's not much more than a child. But she is strong enough to make a temporary bond. And Ty, she does like you. I can sense it. She thinks it's great that you care about me." Tyler slowly walked up to Echo and held out his hand. The thought render bowed her head, making her glowing horn easier to reach. Tyler could see patterns swirling in the crystal, like smoke trapped in glass when he got this close. He asked, "What should I do?" "Put your hand on her horn. Let your mind go. Let her in." Rachel stood next to him and her presence made him feel better. "I'll be right here. Just think of my name and I'll help you break the connection if it gets too much." Tyler took a deep breath and put his hand on Echo's horn. The world blew up. He saw colors he'd never seen before. Sounds that people can't hear crashed over him in waves. He could feel Echo's mind brushing against his own. It was curious, gentle, and so big that he couldn't understand it. And underneath it all, he felt a connection to Rachel, Whisper, and all the other beings that had come together. A web of awareness that covers the whole world. Rachel lived with this every minute of every day. This huge wave of thoughts, feelings, and sensations. It makes sense that she seemed distant at times. How could anyone pay attention to a normal conversation when they could feel the feelings of everyone around them? But it wasn't just too much. It was also pretty. Tyler could tell that Echo was happy to finally connect with someone and excited to share her thoughts with another being. He could feel her memories of watching other thought renders form bonds and her loneliness as she waited for her own chance. And he could sense Rachel. Feel her deeply without any barriers or confusion. Her love for him burned like a star no matter what happened. She was afraid that he would stop loving her if she became too different. She was desperate to find a way for them to stay together no matter what. Tyler gasped and cried. I can feel you, Rachel. I can feel it all. I know. She spoke softly. This is what I've been trying to say. This is who we are now. Dr. Patel had said that the temporary bond would last for a week. 7 days of living in the same way that the merged beings did. 7 days of getting to know his wife in ways he never thought were possible. Tyler saw Rachel in a new way, through Echo's improved vision. The crystal-like patterns on her skin weren't just pretty. They also served a purpose by moving energy and information between her human mind and Whisper's alien mind. Her constant glow wasn't a side effect. It was a way for her body to send thoughts and feelings to other merged beings without using words. She was a beautiful piece of art. A change. Something that people could become if they wanted to. I get it now, Tyler said, his voice echoing with Echo's harmonics. This isn't the end. It starts here. Rachel smiled, and Tyler could feel her relief and happiness through the bond. That's right. The Kresh tried to kill the thought renders, but they didn't succeed. And now, the Valkyrian people are working together to fix what was broken. We're working together to build something new. Tyler lived as a bonded being for the next week. He felt the web of consciousness that connected all the merged beings. He could tell lies from the truth with perfect clarity and talk to people across great distances without using words. And over time he started to see why Rachel had chosen this path. It wasn't about getting power, changing things, or even stopping the Kresh. It was about making a connection. A real connection, the kind that made you never feel alone because you were never really alone. But he also knew why she had made the temporary bond possible. This isn't something everyone would want. Some people needed their own space, their own privacy, and their own sense of who they were. That was fine too. Tyler felt Echo's mind leave his own like a tide going out when the week was over and the bond was broken. The world got quieter, darker, and less open. But also easier to handle. More like a person. He found Rachel in their room where she was waiting for him. So, she said. What did you think? Tyler hugged her, no longer scared of how crystal-like she looked. I think you're great. What you've become is amazing in my opinion. I don't think I'm ready to change permanently, but I would like to make temporary bonds on a regular basis. Once a month, maybe. Stay in touch with you in a way that matters. Rachel leaned against him, and every part of her body showed how relieved she was. I was so scared you'd be horrified. That you would think I was too strange and different. Tyler said, You are different. But you're still Rachel Mitchell. Still the woman who cries at sad movies and tells bad jokes when she's nervous. Still my wife. That hasn't changed and it never will. They stood together in the fading light, husband and wife, two people who had found a way to love each other despite being different species and having different levels of consciousness. The first stars came out in HFY's sky. Tyler knew that there were ships full of people in Valkyrie coming to learn about the bonding process. Coming to see if they wanted to be a part of this new evolution as well. The future was scary, unknown, and full of possibilities. But they would deal with it together. That was all that mattered.